So over the course of an NFL season, I'm going to make a lot of predictions, and sometimes my predictions are going to be terrible, and that's what this video is going to be breaking down. My top 10 worst takes, not just predictions, but just opinions I've had in general. Basically, the 10 biggest mistakes of my first full season of being a YouTuber. And so let's just jump into it, and we'll start things off with number 10. Number 10 is Marcus Peters. I was completely wrong about this trade completely. I kind of felt like you're basically not really getting that much of a talent. I thought Marcus Peters was overrated. I still kind of do a little bit. Like, not to say that he isn't good. I mean, he's definitely had pick sixes. He has plenty of interceptions. The interceptions part of his game has always been great. But I just kind of felt like that's kind of all he does. He's kind of a big boomer bust corner, and he ends up getting burned a lot because of it. However, when he went over to Baltimore, he really didn't get burned at all, and he was able to make some big plays. So definitely a mistake in hindsight. I understand why I said it, but I do think that I just didn't expect him to be able to turn it around that much when he got over to Baltimore. Moving on to number 9, it is the Los Angeles Rams. I was way off about this team. I thought they were going to go 13-3. I thought they were going to be a force to be reckoned with come playoff time. That didn't happen. It just didn't. I thought they were going to win their division. They didn't even make the playoffs. There were a lot of reasons for it. The offensive line deteriorating was definitely the biggest reason, and also Todd Gurley declining has definitely been a big hindrance, but I still have faith in the Rams. I think that next year, I might be back here next year in my top 10 bad takes again, talking about the Rams, because I think they're going to make the playoffs next year. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I do trust McVay. I trust Goff. I know they had a down year. I trust them to bounce back. But again, who knows? I mean, I do sort of look at, I feel like I've been on this page for a little bit now. I said when the Seahawks went 9-7, everyone thought they were going to be bad. They've now made the playoffs back-to-back years since then. When the Pittsburgh Steelers 2 years ago finished 9-7, I said, hey, this team is still good. Granted, they finished worse this year, but they had a ton of injuries. I think we can pretty clearly tell that the Steelers are on the rise. And that's kind of the way I see the Rams personally. They definitely had a down year. It's definitely wrong, in my opinion, my take that I had preseason. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be a huge hindrance. But again, I could be wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times, as you'll see with these next 8 selections. Number 8, I'm actually going to tie 3 teams into one. It's going to be the Redskins, the Lions, and the Bengals. These are 3 teams that I didn't think any of them were going to make the playoffs, but I definitely didn't expect them to all just completely suck the way that they did. I think the Lions especially, I was really expecting the Lions to potentially even make the postseason this year. I was very close to saying they were going to make the playoffs. I didn't, so I did kind of get it right, but I really thought they were going to be good. Quite frankly, I've lost all faith in Matt Patricia, and he's going to have to prove me wrong before I'll have faith in him again. That's just the reality of how I feel, because I do think that team is actually pretty talented. And, the Cincinnati Bengals, I think they got decimated with injuries, but even so, I didn't expect them to be the worst team in the NFL. I thought that I predicted them to be 4th in their division, but I thought that they would be sort of a middling, maybe 5-11, 6-10 type team. I didn't expect what actually happened. And same thing with the Redskins. Like, I thought the talent was there, but they had no idea what they were doing all season long, to be honest. Their management was really the key problem. So those 3 are kind of tied in. Teams I was too high on going into the season for sure. Which is funny because I wasn't even really high on them, but I just wasn't as low as I should have been on them, I guess. Number 7 comes from a video I made about Coolio Mac, and it was just a quick video. It was back in the off season last year when I had just became a full-time YouTuber and was barely getting by, so I started making some sort of like 4 or 5 minute videos just to get a little bit of extra money. And one of them I made was a Coolio Mac video, and I titled it, "What Makes Coolio Mac Such a Beast?" You know? Pretty simple title, except for one problem. I accidentally misspelled such and accidentally wrote suck. So I wrote, "What Makes Khalil Mack Suck a Beast," which definitely is not a great title and not something I wanted. And even worse about it is that I uploaded a video and then I was away from my computer all day, and so when I finally got back and I had like a ton of messages, I was like, what's going on? And then I saw a typo and I was like, okay, now I see it. So that was a screw up, no doubt about it. And moving on to number 6, it was another pretty similar screw up. It literally happened on the very next day. I made a video about DeForest Buckner, a very similar 4 or 5 minute video, and it was a pretty good video, I think, but the problem was I accidentally put someone who was not DeForest Buckner on the thumbnail. I accidentally put Solomon Thomas, and in fairness to me, it wasn't like a all black people look the same type thing. It was just I Googled DeForest Buckner, and one of the first results that came up was Solomon Thomas, and you couldn't really make it out too well what he looked like, and the numbers are similar, so I didn't pick up on the number thing. I thought it was him because it's like, hey, this is the third search result when you search DeForest Buckner, so obviously that's going to be DeForest Buckner, but lesson learned for next time. Just because it's a search result that comes up very early on Google doesn't always mean that it is going to be that person. And now moving on to number 5. This was definitely a take that I was just flat out wrong on. There's no excuses for this one. There's no, well, kind of, I could say this. This was just a wrong take. This was me saying that the Cardinals should not move on from Josh Rosen, and they should not draft Kyler Murray. They should instead draft Nick Bosa. And listen, Nick Bosa is great, there's no doubt about it, but at the same time, they're way better off with Kyler Murray than they would be with Josh Rosen and Nick Bosa. That's the reality of the situation right now. I have lost pretty much all faith on Rosen, especially when watching him in Miami. I kind of quickly realized, okay, it's not all the offensive line's fault that was in Arizona. He definitely made the O-line look worse. Neither O-lines were great under him, but, he definitely made them look worse, I think. And also, Kyler Murray's been great. I mean, he absolutely has. He's had about as good of a rookie season as you could hope for. He's been fantastic. I think Arizona fans are thrilled to have him. I do think the Cliff Kingsbury system has also been a huge reason why Arizona was just much more fun to watch last year, even though they only won a couple more games. But they appear to be a lot better heading into 2020 than they were heading into 2019, which is the goal when you have a poor team. So yeah, saying that the Cardinals shouldn't move on from backup at best to a guy who just won Offensive Rookie of the Year, that's a top 5 bad take of the year, no doubt about it. But I managed to screw up 4 times worse than that one. My number 4 worst take was saying that the Chicago Bears would go to the Super Bowl. I was way off on that. The Bears didn't even make the playoffs. That was just one of those that I just regret in hindsight. And in fairness, I didn't even have them as the number 1 seed in the regular season. I had them as the number 2 seed, but then I kind of just, I got to the point where I was doing the playoff matchups, and I just sort of liked every matchup, so that's why I had them going to the Super Bowl. It was just a screw up. Basically, I just screwed up. There's not really any other way to say it. I loved their defense. Their defense was still good. I mean, Hicks getting hurt definitely hurt them a lot. Not enough to turn them from a Super Bowl team to a missing the playoffs team, but that did hurt them. I just expected Mitchell Trubisky to improve as a player. It seemed like he didn't improve at all, so I think that was a huge reason why I was sort of left disappointed. I also was disappointed in Matt Nagy's play calling this season to a large degree. There was a lot of reasons why the Bears had this fall off, but again, I predicted a team that didn't make the playoffs to go to the Super Bowl. If I want to brag about the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl and me predicting that preseason, I also have to bring up the fact that the team I had them beating didn't even make the playoffs. So, absolutely a mistake, which is why it's number 4. Number 3 it's a little bit different. This is actually my most viewed video. It's my Houston Astros video about them cheating. And I think the reason why I hate this video is because it came off as clickbaity. It really did. It pretty much was clickbait, which just isn't what I want to do with this channel. In fairness, I thought it was a good story. I kind of got caught up in the hype a little bit. If you haven't seen it, it's titled "Proof that the Houston Astros cheated," and the thumbnail is of a clip that I used that's kind of taken a little bit out of context. If you just saw that video, you would think that I have definitive proof that the Astros are cheating, and I don't. I instead have something that makes you say, okay, yeah, they probably cheated, which those are two very different things, and it came off as a bit clickbaity. In hindsight, I wouldn't have made that video. It did do very well numbers-wise, so that's kind of the conflicting thing. I think that's why you see a lot of YouTubers where they make clickbaity videos for every video. I made that one. I also, my number 2 on this list, you could also argue is a little bit clickbaity. But after those 2 videos, I kind of just said, I'm not going to make clickbaity videos. I don't care if I get 1,000, 2,000 views on one video. I don't want to be making clickbaity videos just to make some more money. That's not what I'm trying to do here. At the end of the day, I'm making a living being able to just talk to you guys and talk about football. I can't complain whatsoever. I don't need to try to get every penny I can get. So that was a mistake. I could have made it number 1, but it's definitely a top 3 mistake, no doubt about it. The reason why I didn't have a number one is because I do actually think it was a pretty solid video. I just think that the clickbaity nature of it, it left a sour taste in my mouth. It really did. And moving on to number two, it was another one that left a sour taste in my mouth. This was my Colin Kaepernick video. And in fairness, I actually think the video itself is fine. I don't really regret the video whatsoever. As in, everything I said in the video, I do agree with. There's really two things I had a problem with. One thing is it was just kind of a lazily made video. I didn't put the time and effort I should have done. I didn't really show much clips of explaining what I was talking about, which is something I always try to do on every video. Don't just say things, but show things, you know? That's a thing in filmmaking they say, is show, don't tell. That's something I try to do in my videos. I didn't, but that's kind of a minor thing. That's not really a huge deal. I think the real reason why I regret my Colin Kaepernick video is because I think, obviously, Colin Kaepernick is a big political story, and me trying to just talk about football and sidestep the politics. Okay, so in case you're wondering why I randomly just changed clothes, what actually happened was I ran out of space on my SD card, so I had to, I didn't realize until after I finished, so I was going to just record the next day. Then the very next day I got horribly sick, as you know if you've been following this channel. So all of that was like 2 weeks ago that you just saw me shoot, and now I'm going to be finishing the rest of this 2 weeks later, so we're time traveling here, but I'm just going to finish up this video right now. Yeah, basically with the Colin Kaepernick video, to sum it all up, it's not something I would do again, and if I did do it again, I would make sure I at least talked about the obvious thing people are talking about with Colin Kaepernick, which is the politics, you know? Trying to make a apolitical video about Colin Kaepernick in 2020, not going to work out too well, it just isn't. But that's not my worst take of the season. My worst take, without a doubt, it's the one that you see that I'm making fun of myself on, and with the light box right there. Me saying that Dwayne Haskins will be the best quarterback out of last year's draft. In fairness, I think it's still possible it could happen, although I definitely would not take Haskins over Murray at this point. You'd kind of have to be crazy to do that, just with how good of a season that Murray had compared to how not great of a season Haskins had. And in fairness, Haskins did have his moments. You know, he had that 1-2 week stretch where he had a higher passer rating than anybody else in the NFL. That did happen. He deserves some credit for that. But as a whole, I mean, there's no doubt about it that Murray just played better. And I do think that Haskins is going to surprise some people next year. I think that this is not a Josh Rosen situation, in my opinion. I think Haskins is good. The situation he was put in was, not only was it not a great situation, but it seemed like they didn't even want him to really succeed that much. It seemed like they were very rarely having him throw the ball. But that being said, I mean, it's just not a great take in hindsight, no doubt about it. I have to call myself out on it. And again, in fairness to me, I still do really like Kyler Murray. I always really liked Kyler Murray coming out of the draft. I said this guy's going to be great, but I just thought Haskins would be better. And to me, it looked like Haskins could be the guy that we thought Jameis Winston was going to be when he was drafted. That seemed like that's what was going to happen. Didn't quite work out that way, but again, I still have faith in him, but definitely a bad take in hindsight. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me making fun of myself. You know, hopefully you enjoyed having some fun at my expense. At the end of the day, I do just feel like when you make enough videos talking about football, you're going to have some bad takes. It's just going to happen. And so I'd like to pass the question off to you and sort of say, what was your bad take? What did you think that in hindsight, you're just like, why did I think that was going to happen this season? Because we all do it, you know, some of us are just unfortunate enough to get it on camera, although I definitely had a couple that were pretty not great in hindsight, no doubt about it. And I had my good takes, of course, too, but, you know, just figured we should have some fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.